welcome back to the No Cut Sports Podcast with your host, Niall Frazier. And today we got a few things we need to talk about. But before we get started, could y'all please like, comment, and subscribe to always catch this vibe, man. Y'all already know. So, as of today, the Philadelphia Eagles have dropped the 53-man roster along with the practice squad. And I do have them all listed here for you. I do want to start with the 53-man roster because I know when I seen the roster yesterday, I was like, oh, they didn't keep this person, or oh, they did keep this person. So we're just going to go through the roster first by position and see how many people they kept. I'm going to give a little commentary, so just stick with me for a little bit. So I'm on the offense, starting with the quarterbacks. Of course, they keep Jalen Hurts, Kenny Pickett, and Tanner McKee. They keep 3 running backs with Saquon Barkley, Kenny Gainwell, and Will Shipley. The wide receivers, they keep 5 with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, of course, with a Jahan Dotson, Brenton Covey, and Johnny Wilson. Tight end, they keep 2 with Dallas Goedert and Grant Calcaterra. Offensive tackle, they keep Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, Fred Johnson, and Darian Kennard. At offensive guard, they keep Landon Dickerson, Mekhi Becton, Tyler Steen, and Trevor Keegan, And at center, they keep 1 center at Cam Jurgens. Now, before I move on, the biggest thing that threw me off was the center position because, as y'all know, we don't have Kelsey anymore, and Cam Jurgens, this is his first year stepping in as a starter, taking over for Jason Kelsey. I really do have him being a very good key piece to this offense this year. I know people are saying it might be a slow start. Also want to see that hike, that little hike that they got, because I know Kelsey had a different way of hiking the ball opposed to Cam Jurgens, so maybe that has some type of effect with the offense. But Cam Jurgens was the only center that was kept, and that kind of threw me off because we have no depth there. So, but I'll get to that when I start reading off the practice squad players. But on defense, we have at edge rusher where they kept 6 with Bryce Huff, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, and Patrick Johnson, who I really like, and I'm glad they got on the squad. Defensive tackle with Jalen Carter, my boy, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Moro Ojamo, Marlon Tupalutu, I do apologize, man, and Thomas Booker IV. Linebackers, they keep 5 with Devin White, Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and Ben Van Summeren, Cornerback, they keep Darius Slay, Isaiah Rodgers, Quinn Yan, you already know, Keely Ringo, Coop DeVille, and Eli Ricks, which is another one I really wanted him to keep. Safety, they keep Reed Blankenship, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, James Bradbury, Avonte Maddox, Tristan McCullum, which is another guy I'm glad they kept. Kickers, they keep 1 with Jake Elliott, of course. Long snappers, Rick Lovato, with the punter being Braden Mann. Reserve/injured. So I know it might have been it's been a few days since I made a video, but wide receiver Anai Smith, who I've been pulling very hard, for him to make this team, but I've really been pulling for him to make this team. He goes out last game, which he did pretty well preseason-wise, but he did pretty well in the game, and he ended up leaving the game, had to go get an MRI after the game, things like that, so he ends up on the injury reserve. And I think those guys, at the least they missed 4 games. Okay, so Nas will be missing 4 games along with tight end Albert O. I can't never say his last name, who was also out, and I think he had to get a surgery on his shoulder or something like that, or his pec. I can't remember. I do apologize for not having that information. But I do think I heard, shout out to Eagle Owl. I watched a couple of those guys this morning, so shout out to all the content creators as well. But that's not good. If you've been watching me, following me, I've been very high on Albert O. I think he's a very athletic tight end. Also with Kellen Moore being our offensive coordinator, I've always been talking about him using the 2 tight end sets. So I know they were trying to keep, or probably wanted to keep as many tight ends, or he probably wanted to keep as many tight ends as possible. So they also put on McCollin Castles and then OT LaRaven Clark. And then it has here Smith and Albert O were placed on IR with new mechanics that allow them to still be eligible to play this season. At the very least, they'll be missing 4 games. So on reserve/physically unable to perform is just Sidney Brown. Brown will automatically miss the Eagles' first 4 games. So he might be eligible to play by week 5, maybe week 6, but My thing is he's coming off that ACL injury, and we don't want to rush that back. I really do want to see him get added to this defense, especially with Vic Fangio and him being the coordinator now. I think he can make a difference too if he's healthy. But like I said, I don't want to rush that back. So going through the 53-man roster, some players that I was a little upset that they didn't keep before I seen the practice squad was Jenkins, the tight end. I thought he was very athletic, kind of like an Albert O style type of player, but he really showed in preseason, he can make some decent catches and things like that. Blocking, I think, he's 6'4", so he should be able to block. I didn't really get a chance to look at too much of his film, but yeah, for the most part, I liked him. Who else was it? Andre Sam was another person that they got rid of that I was kind of upset about because I felt like we needed depth at the safety position as well. And then Gabe Hall was another player that I was just not upset, but I have an affinity for Gabe Hall. I think he can turn into something if they develop him right. But I'm gonna read the practice squad to y'all guys, and some of the people I named did end up on this practice squad, or they all did end up on the practice squad. So, with that being said, the practice squad players are EJ Jenkins, Andre Sam, Dylan McMahon, who was drafted this year that they ended up cutting, but got back on the practice squad. Nick Gates was another player that I thought showed out in preseason that did pretty well. Paris Campbell, which is it's not a surprise, but I'm kind of glad they didn't get rid of Paris Campbell because I thought he had a strong camp. You can't really do too much. You can't stop injuries. This is a physical contact sport, so you can't really do too much when it comes to injuries. But I did think he displayed enough talent, and then in that last preseason game, he showed some things of why he should at least be on or considered to be on this team as a wide receiver 3 option. Will Greer, of course, that's the protege for Kellen Moore. So he knows the offense pretty well just in case something happens with him. But I don't think he sees the field at all, to be honest with you, with Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee, who I need to talk about as well. I do think Tanner McKee is the better option over Kenny Pickett. I've seen a lot of people, going in on Kenny Pickett. I'm not here to destroy no players, but I do think that the team probably should gear more to Tanner McKee. Yeah, Tanner McKee, because I just see more of an upside with him. I know they talk about Kenny Pickett having smaller hands and, he wears 2 gloves. And I hear Philly 500, cracking his jokes and stuff like that. Can he flick it? But still good to have, man. I don't think, it's the strongest QB room. But I do think Tanner McKee should be considered, QB too. But moving on, they got wide receiver Marcus Roseme. Jack, I think I wrote his name wrong. Something Saint. Jack Saint, I think it is, or something like that. But Brandon Smith. They got Jack Stahlbeck, who was released by the Giants yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Caden Stearns, as y'all know, we acquired him from Denver, and then not Denver, the Panthers. Well, not even the Panthers. I think he's just a free agent, if I'm not mistaken, because he didn't pass that physical. But you can correct me if I'm wrong. And then Laken Vakalali, oh, gee, Christ, Vakalari, I think that's how you say it, and that's the Australian guy that came over here through that program that they have, but I can't remember the name of. I do apologize. So those are the guys that are on the roster for this upcoming season. As y'all know, next Friday, the game in Brazil will be held. I should be live for that. I'm hoping to be live for it. Hopefully nothing comes up, man. But some good things to look forward to, man. I'm glad some of these guys that did get cut or waived ended up back on the team. Such as, EJ Jenkins, like I said earlier, and Andre Sam, Gabe Hall as well. Jack Stahl, another, like I said, tight end heavy with some of the schemes that Kellen Moore does like to use. So glad to have Jack Stahl back. But Anai Smith, though, I want to talk about for the most part. With me, it's I'm glad he's still on the team, but I do need him to show me something. I know Howie had the press conference talking about, that he ended up getting injured, but he was showing some promise, during these latter days of training camp and in the preseason games. So I'm glad to still have him here. I know he did have, like I said, he didn't have the best start to training camp, but as the training camp went on, I felt like he developed a little bit more. He probably was nervous, coming off of an injury. Hopefully that the injury he does have now, or that he sustained at this moment in time, doesn't hold him out too long, but he will be missing those 4 weeks. So that should get him up to speed too as well. We're missing some of camp, hopefully. But I know the vision, like I seen in that last preseason game, man. I seen the juking ability, the agility that he has that I saw in college on film, and I was just like, if somebody can work with this man, or the wide receiver coach can work with him, I think he can be a key piece of this offense. Somebody else that I had liked when I watched the game or the preseason game was Ben Van Sumeren. I think these last couple of games he's really just been flashing and flashing. He had like a goal line a tackle, had a sack in that game if I'm not mistaken, and his pass rush moves too as well, man. Very handsy. I think are developing pretty well. So that's good to see, man. Because starting off during the season, well, not during the season, but during training camp, at least a lot of us were talking about the linebackers. Devin White being a kind of not unproven, but last year wasn't his best year. Going through some things with Tampa. You got a Nakobe Dean who started flashing as of the last couple of weeks, which is very good to see him going into his his third year if I'm not mistaken. So showing some promise there at the linebacker area. Oren Burks as well. I think Oren Burks as well made the practice squad, and he was another player that I seen in preseason that flashed, man. He almost had an interception as well. He's coming back off that knee injury where he missed all of training camp, and I know, like I said, injuries happen, but he don't gotta step into a starting role. You know what I mean? Give him some time, to play the depth position. Let him learn, let him gain the knowledge that he needs, because this is I don't want to say abnormal, but a different defense that Vic Fangio runs, especially with his linebackers. They have different jobs to do on different scenarios and stuff like that, which all the players do. But for the most part, man, I just think he just showed promise. That whole linebacker room has just been showing a lot of promise. So seems to be that that Howie likes who he has. I know that they had was it Ernest? I can't think of my man's last name, but the linebacker from the Rams, who ended up getting traded yesterday, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But people were saying maybe the Eagles would have interest in him, but they seem to be cool with who they have. Another player that they talked about was Nolan Smith, who I'm still very high on. But they said, and I understand he didn't play well. Some of the things he did, he didn't play well. Okay, but me personally, you can't take away. He had 2 sacks, but they were unblocked sacks. You can't take that away from him. But you can build on top of that. That's why my whole thing is with a lot of these players, sometimes the confidence, you know what I mean? You're going against, guys that have been in the league for a long time. And, you're coming out of college. You might not, and I will say this, I'm not seeing the pass rushing moves that I want to see from Nolan Smith. I know he was going to training camp and stuff like that. And he, in camp, you heard his name here and there, flashes and stuff like that. But it's not consistent enough for me to be, fully trustworthy in him. But I do think with him getting more reps that he'll be able to go out there and get a feel for the game, feel for what he needs to do. He has that get-off speed like Howie spoke about in his recent press conference. I just think, they just got to work with him. Every player that comes out of college won't be a Jalen Carter, won't be. And we haven't seen Quinyon yet, but it seems to be that Quinyon's been picking up very well in the different positions that he's been playing. So, it's just a learning curve for some players. So I do hope to see that Nolan, gets it together as the year goes on, because we really do need him, along with Bryce Huff and the rest of those guys, because the edge is something that I'm kind of not worried about. Nah, I'm going to be honest. I'm worried about it. I ain't going to lie to you. I'm worried about it because I need that pass rush to get home, man. It was very wild last year just to sit there and watch, the Eagles play, especially with them still having Fletcher Cox and all that pass rush wasn't getting home like it should. So, and then the coaches that we had, weren't the best. Shout out to Sean Desai, man. I can't really be too upset with Sean Desai because he would make his adjustments, but Matt Patricia, it just went on downhill from there with him. So, yeah, man, it is what it is. But hopefully we see those guys step up and that pass rush gets home, because that's the defense, man. So another player that's on defense, like I spoke about earlier, that I'm glad that they kept was Tristan McCullen, that I saw in that game or the last few games, flying around, got a knack for finding where that ball's at, and then just breaking up plays, breaking up pass plays, stuff like that. Good tackler. So that's something that that you want to see. I know we talked about James Bradbury on here as well. Is he going to get traded? Are they going to keep him? Well, you see that he made the 53-man roster. I've said in many of my videos, it's kind of conflicted, but at the same time, I'm a man. Understand, we all fall short of some things, But I want to give Bradbury a chance to see what he can do. I mean, I know also that contract, that money was probably hard to move, trade wise, and they probably wanted too much. Other teams probably wanted too much for him. But at the same time, like I said, he's here. Ain't too much to complain about. Like I said, if the season starts and we see what we saw last year, then we can complain. But at this moment in time, I will not complain about James Bradbury. I'm glad that he's still on the team, and I wish nothing but the best for him. Really hope he can add some knowledge to those younger guys in that room. So another player that also played was Coupe DeVille, a.k.a. Cooper DeJean. Now, Cooper DeJean looked a little rusty. Of course, he hasn't played since, November of last year when he was still in college. And, take some time to get acclimated, readjust to the game speed, especially NFL speed, where everybody's just as good. So I like as the game went on, I liked how he progressed with his playmaking skills. He did look like he got beat on a couple pass plays, but his recovery speed is very decent. I will give him that. So it's just he got beat. It is what it is, but it's part of the game, man. It's his first game, first preseason game. You might be nervous, you might got the jitters, whatever the case may be. So you just gotta monitor that. But I do think with Coupe DeVille being out there, a lot of those other guys too, like the defense, like we talk about being worried about the defense, which we should be. But at the same time, I think with Vic being here, and then the guys that they ended up keeping, like your Vontae Maddox, who has the talent, is more or less just, can he stay on the field? And if he can stay on the field along with like Nakobe Dean, a lot of those guys that get injured, like they have the talent. It's just that they can't stay on the field. So those two guys that I named right there on that defense, man, could definitely make a difference too. Who else? Is there somebody else back there? CJ too is another guy I'm thinking about as well. CJ helping that safety room as well. Because he really knows how to play the position. I know James Bradbury is new to the room, but still having that corner experience, and then now pairing that with the safety stuff that he's learning with the safeties and stuff like that. Hopefully that he can pass that down as well. So some good things, man. I can't complain. Jahan Dotson, I know I talked about him. I know I said I wasn't gonna make this long, but it seems like we carrying on. But Jahan Dotson, just another player that they added to this offense too, man. That I can't wait to see. He gave his press conference as well, I want to say yesterday, or maybe the day before yesterday. I can't really remember, but I know he gave his press conference, and it's just hearing what he was saying. I feel like he needed a new change of scenery, because they said they had promised him that he wouldn't be traded, and he ends up getting traded to the Eagles, and I don't know, because I heard Howie Roseman say in his press conference, and I want to talk about that as well. But I heard Howie Roseman say in his press conference that I guess somebody asked him if how do I want to say this, like, did y'all both win in the trade, or I forget how they worded it, but Howie made it seem as though like they wanted to get rid of him. Like it wasn't like it was like, oh, they were pinched for anything or anything like that, but they seemed like they wanted to get rid of Jahan Dotson. Maybe just didn't fit what Dan Quinn, new regime coming in there. Didn't fit the scheme that he was looking for. So him being the defensive coach, maybe he just didn't see what he wanted to see in him. So let him go, let him come here. But like I said before, I don't know a defense that's out there that is going to be able to stop all three of those wide receivers, along with Saquon in your backfield, Jalen Hurts still having the ball, and then you got Dallas Goedert, as long as he can stay healthy. So it's going to be a very interesting season. I might as well just talk about it while I'm on here. Talk about the first week, in Brazil. I'm expecting. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. I know they got Green Bay got some players over there, but I'm really expecting this offense to get to a hot start. I think they can, man. But the biggest thing with me, like I said, it would be the defense. So I just want to see how that defense withstands, Green Bay's offense. Jordan Love, he's been playing in the preseason, so I know they're going to be fresh. Those guys will be ready to go. Our guys ain't really been able to play, man, and that was something else that I didn't really like. I thought, Nick Sirianni was talking that stuff last year like he was going to switch it up, but he didn't switch it up. So it is what it is, man. But that press conference that they gave, and that's what I wanted to talk about before I got off of here. And I'm not going to put the clips up in here because I've been getting copyrighted. Nothing crazy, but I just been getting copyrighted, and I don't want to keep doing it, and they delete my channel, whatever the case may be. But they were talking about how they had asked first. They had asked Howie a question, right? And for whatever our reason, they had asked Howie, about I guess cutting these players and things like that, and how hard it is because coaches want certain players, and then the front office wants their draftees. So it seemed like there'd be a little bit of clash in there when they had asked Howie that question because, and I don't think anybody else even talked about this, but Nick Sirianni just butted in and was like, a lot of these coaches, since the beginning of camp, they pick some of these players. They've been working with these players. And not to say that Howie don't care about the players in that way, but, the coach's relationship is a little bit different than your GM relationship for the simple fact that, like I said, you're working with the coaches work with these players every day. You see the progression. You might think that they're getting better, but the front office might think something totally different. So, and I think I heard Fred Johnson say that in his press conference where he was like, the front office has actually seen the work that I'm putting in. So, him making that 52-man roster or 53-man roster, was very, very, very important to him. So, but yeah, man. But it just seemed like when Nick just cut Howie off, and you see this look that Howie gives Nick, and it's just like, I'm just hoping that everything, and that's the point I'm trying to get at. I hope just everything is okay between the two of them because with Howie. Not with Howie, but with Nick Sirianni taking that back seat with the offense, play calling and things like that. And then we also talked about when they were drafting, like how much influence does Nick Sirianni have on the players that he wants to have come to this team. Like they showed a clip of just Nick just rolling in during the draft or into the war room, whatever the case is, and just whatever it is, it's whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm here, And they already had made a few picks, so I don't know how much involvement he has in that. But I will say that is definitely something that we do need to monitor. Because I can't get on here and not keep it real with y'all. Like, that is something that we got to monitor because I said it before. I like Nick Sirianni, but I don't feel like he has that personality where he can just let it go. Like, you know what I mean? It's going to play on his mind, and he's just going to have to do something. So hopefully nothing happens, but I just thought that was a little, it just threw me off a little bit when he did that because I seen that look at how he gave him, and then, he continued on saying some things, and it just sounded like he was like kind of shading what Nick Sirianni said. Or maybe I'm reading into it too much. I don't know. So with that being said, man, it's now from the No Cut Sports Podcast. I appreciate everybody that's been coming on here, subscribing, liking, commenting on the videos. If you got anything that you want me to talk about or discuss, please drop it below. But until then, like I said, it's now from No Cut Sports Podcast. And one more thing, baby. You already know. Go Birds, baby. I'm a holler.